Hello guys, and welcome to FP1 and welcome back to the Post Podium Podcast after the Portuguese Grand Prix. This is of course a series where we can now talk about the Grand Prix now the hype has settled down a little bit, and to be fair, it was a very good race. I really enjoyed that one. And today, to join me, we're back with the purple sector. Also, we had Hannah join us for the very first episode on this series after the Austrian Grand Prix. Today, absolute delight to be joined by Charlotte. So yeah, Charlotte, to begin with, how are you and what do you think of the race?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on your channel. I was quite pleased with it. I was really looking forward to actually racing at Portimao because I love the track. I love everything about the track. But yeah, I was the first couple of laps, I couldn't really sit still. I was up and down. I was literally I couldn't concentrate. But yeah, I was quite happy with it, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I think there wasn't so much action in terms of collisions between people, but the actual racing I thought was really, really good. Now, before we do jump into things, try to talk a little bit about the purple sector because obviously congratulations again for crossing 700 subscribers. Was it yesterday, I think? So well done on that one.
Yeah, thanks so much. So me and Hannah run the purple sector together. We just started it in lockdown, and we hit 700 subs yesterday, so that's good. We do like race reviews, also talk about like junior series like F2, F3, and sometimes FE. That's what Hannah normally does. But that's all we do really. Just have a little chat all the time. We have everyone that people really subscribe to. We have on so.
Yeah, and of course all links will be down in the description below. So do make sure you go and check those guys out. Now, just going to check out the window because just going to make sure it's not going to rain. There's little sprinkles here and there. It might rain, it might not rain midway through this podcast. It might just disrupt ongoing stuff. But knowing Formula 1, it will probably downpour right at the very end once we cross the finish line. But I think that's kind of where we need to start today. It was another case of every time the action seems to be getting boring, someone happens to chirp stuff about the rain. What's this about? We might get a downpour in 5 minutes. This is like a running theme with Formula 1 nowadays. And although initially I kind of passed it off and maybe joked about being, it's just F1, kind of putting it in there to say, let's try and keep the viewers, attached to the screens a little bit longer. But it is kind of becoming a running theme now. And I guess when we finally do get rain, we'll have celebrations. I think people will be partying on the streets. But with the weather today, it did make strategies very, very interesting. And we saw the one-stop work, we saw the two-stop work. Who do you think would be, out of everyone on the grid, we saw several drivers really kind of, go above and beyond, but who would you say really shone this weekend?
So I think both Pierre and Checo had a really great race. Obviously, we saw Checo go from P5 at the start to last because of his little collision with Max, and then where did he end? Like
Pierre was P5.
And then Checo was P...
I think
he was up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so he went from literally P5 to 20th to P6. So I think they both had really good races. I'm just really happy for Pierre because I think he's like literally shining in that AlphaTauri at the moment. And it's really nice to see him doing well and getting everything out of that car.
Yeah, for sure. And I think another driver that kind of shone for me, and someone who, in fairness, I've given a fair bit of stick, but it's F1's, garbage can, Esteban Ocon. I think, he is coming into this weekend, having been trounced by Ricciardo all season, and here we are, where he's made this audacious strategy of sticking on the tyres for what seemed like forever. It works. He finished ahead of Ricciardo. Was it P8 for today for Ocon? In a very strong performance for Renault. I think he had a pretty good weekend over in Eiffel as well. So, fair play to him. Now, I think we've got to go back to Lewis Hamilton. Winner today, beating Michael Schumacher's record, as we mentioned on the podcast last week. How crazy that was. It'd be interesting to get your thoughts on it as well. I don't know about you, but I never saw these stats ever being broken by Michael. It's a good 320 or something Grand Prix since Michael's last win in China 2006. What's your opinion on Hamilton's performance this weekend? Because I think from Q3 onwards, he was just unmatched.
I'm such a huge fan of Lewis. I literally love him. He's the reason that I watch Formula One. So to see him break the record this week, I got kind of emotional, to be honest, because I didn't think these records would be broken, and for him to come and break them, it's kind of like you're literally watching history be rewritten in front of your eyes. So I'm so happy. Obviously, with Valtteri being fastest in literally practice, quali, and then it was Lewis take pole. I was just like, oh, I thought Valtteri was going to get pole, but then obviously seeing Lewis get pole, and then at the start, I was kind of like, what is happening? Because I just saw him go, like, he was leading, and he was just going backwards, and then obviously Carlos taking the lead, and then Bottas, and then, like, literally Lewis getting back in front of Bottas, and then from then on, it was literally, 25-second gap? Like, that's actually crazy to have finished like 25 seconds in front of your teammate to take the win. So yeah, I'm just really happy for him, and I think you can see how much it means to him, and like in post race like interviews and everything, I'm just really happy, and I think he just did a really great performance today.
Yeah, I think I said it in my instant reaction. We see this happy, excited Lewis Hamilton now. I just kind of wish we'd seen that more throughout his career, because he's been getting all these wins, yet he has got this tendency to kind of moan and complain about things. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people don't really like him too much as a personality in Formula 1. But we've seen, he has got this kind of kind-hearted side. There's a video that went out, I think it was just before the Eiffel Grand Prix from 2016, where he was in the paddock doing an interview, and there was just this little kid that obviously got a paddock pass, and he kind of picked her up, brought her into the interview, had a answer some of his questions for him. It's that kind of side of Lewis that we don't see that much, and I'd never seen that clip before, and it was not one that had been circulated around. And so yeah, it was good to see Lewis actually positive about the whole situation, and like I said, those records being broken is just surreal, really. But you mentioned Carlos there as well. Sainz really smashed it this weekend. I think he's had quite a bit of bad luck in the last few races. But and he described those overtakes on both Bottas and Hamilton as easy to be given in the first lap. And obviously the Mercedes were on the medium tyre, took a little bit longer to get those tyres into the working temperature. But fair play to Carlos Sainz, because he pulled out a bit of a gap on them as well. I thought we were going to see another case of a Monza happening with a surprise winner. Obviously that wasn't the case in the end. But obviously you're a McLaren fan. What did you take from Carlos and I guess also Lando's weekend?
Yeah, so obviously Carlos out-qualified Lando again. So obviously at the start of the season we were all like, Lando is performing better than Carlos, and then I feel like it's kind of like now Carlos is performing better than Lando. Carlos had bad luck at the start, Lando's having bad luck now. But yeah, I honestly I would have been happy with like a 5-6 finish for McLaren. Obviously the Lando and Lance incident sort of mucked that up, but when I saw the McLarens battling the Mercedes, I was just like, oh, like yes, like I want to see this. And seeing Carlos leading for a couple of laps, I was like, what is going on? Because he literally just overtook, like he said, that them overtakes, he just went past them so quickly and so easily. And then he did pull a little bit of a gap as well. And then obviously when the medium tyres started to settle in like better, then the Mercedes came back. But all I keep thinking is, when next year that McLaren with a Mercedes engine, it's either going to go one or two ways. Absolutely amazing or absolutely awful, but I really hope it's absolutely amazing, and I really am excited to see it.
Yeah, definitely. I think McLaren are also, they're looking forward even more to 2022, aren't they, with the Mercedes engine and with those new regulations. I think that's going to be, it's an exciting team. We've got Daniel Ricciardo coming next year. Yeah, we're losing Sainz, but we're getting Ricciardo, who is just as good, maybe even slightly better. That might be one, but maybe that's up for debate. But, either way, you've got Ricciardo and Norris, who was not a bad driver as well. Norris, I think, again, it was a case of bad luck for the Brit today. I mean, obviously, he had that failure at the Eiffel Grand Prix, and basically everything was going wrong. This weekend, he got taken up by a wild Lance Stroll that enjoyed going around turn one backwards to this entire weekend, really, because he collided with Verstappen as well in practice. I think I was on the TF1 show just before coming onto this podcast, and we were saying the Racing Point, they've been one of the most underwhelming teams this year, really. They've got a car that, it was the pink Mercedes. We knew it was going to be quick, and they've shown that pace at times, but it's never actually turned into, results that really, it was really what we expected from Racing Point and what we expected from Stroll and Perez. So I was just kind of curious, what was your thought on Racing Point, not just this weekend, but also for the whole season?
See, when we first started the season, I thought, oh my God, like, what the hell, Racing Point are so strong. Like, I think everyone was like, wow, they're going to be up there battling all the time. And I think we did put too much, like, expectation on them because they've been having some good races, but they haven't been as good as we thought they were going to be, if you get what I mean. Obviously, Lance had... I don't know what this weekend was for him, to be honest. Obviously, Friday, the collision with Verstappen, and then quali didn't go too well, and then today he got the penalty for crashing with Lando and then also exceeding track limits, and it's just kind of like, I just don't think this weekend was very good for Lance. But Checo, on the other hand, like I said, I feel like his race was amazing, and I've voted for him for driver of the day because I think he absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, definitely. I think Checo, despite that collision with Max Verstappen, who seemed to have a mission, I think, this weekend to take out any Racing Point car he came across. Fair play to Checo. He did very, very well to kind of bring that car back. He's very lucky he didn't get damaged from that. Obviously, we saw Stroll pick up damage in a very similar collision in practice. But no, fair play to Perez today. Now, I mentioned Verstappen, but I want to talk a little bit more about his teammate because Alex Albon wasn't good. It wasn't. He was beaten by an Alfa Romeo. Yeah. I don't know what to say for Alex anymore, because every single time I think there's no way it can get worse. And I feel like I've said these exact words every single week now, but it really did get worse for Alex there. And with all this speculation that Hulk could take that seat or Perez could take that seat, even from Imola onwards or after Imola, it's just not good. And this is not what you really want to see from any driver, really, because his motivation has hit rock bottom now, and yeah, just what can you say for Alex at this point?
I mean, I would quite like a boyfriend after this filming, so I don't really want to slate him too much because I feel like I would get dumped. But I mean, it's so hard because I absolutely love Alex because he's just so lovable. He's like such a lovable person. But there's only so many excuses you can make for someone. And the fact that both Elliot and Tina are both making, like, they're both saying, this is, like, he's performing awfully. Like, that just, I don't know. I found it so hard to talk about because I want him to do well. And I know what Red Bull's like, and I know that car's probably not built for him, it's built for Max. And I know that no driver in Red Bull will ever be up to Max's standard, like, ever, no matter who you put in, really. But also, where was he like during the race, like P14 or whatever, and like qualifying nowhere near Max, and it's so frustrating because I just want him to do so well, but how many chances is he going to get to prove that he belongs in that seat?
Yeah, precisely. I mean, Elliot Talks F1 and Tears from the TF1 show are two of the biggest Alex Albon simps I know. And when they're sat there struggling to find excuses for the guy, then you do know that there's something up. And yeah, do you think Alex is going to get replaced at the end of the season or not? Could we see Alex out?
I feel like some of the interviews that Red Bull give different signals, because today it was like Christian Horner sounded supportive of Alex, but then also wasn't really backing Pierre to be back in that seat, but that doesn't mean Alex will keep his seat. That means Hulk or Perez will come in. So I feel like if Alex keeps going how he's going for the rest of the 5-6 races we have, then I think he'll be out. Yeah,
I have to agree, and it's worrying, isn't it? It really is, and I do feel for Alex, and even if he'll be able to keep a seat in Formula 1 after that, because I don't think it's going to be as simple as demote him to AlphaTauri, because it's not that there's no one to promote this time round. AlphaTauri also have Tsunoda coming up, so someone's going to get caught in the middle there, especially if Hulkenberg is the one that takes that seat. So we could really see Alex back in Formula E where we thought he was going to be about 18 months ago. So yeah, I don't know with Alex. I really don't know with him. But let's move on then. Let's look at Williams, and the last 3 Portuguese Grand Prix that were held. Williams won. Yeah, we weren't going to see that this weekend. That was for sure. Obviously, Williams, they've been struggling for the last for the last few years now, really. And now there's this new speculation that George Russell could get replaced by Sergio Perez for next year, despite signing a contract or having his contract extended for next year. And again, this is one of these stories that I kind of looked at it. I said, I saw the news pop up on my screen and it said, George Russell out for Sergio Perez. I was like, yeah, okay, right. And I'm in a relationship, of course, okay, sure. But as the weekend has gone on, it's gained more momentum, and it is now looking very, very likely. Simon Roberts, who took over from Claire Williams halfway through the season, is now not confirming George in that seat. And when you've confirmed the driver in the past, if you're not confirming it anymore, that tells me that, yeah, there is something going on there behind the scenes and deals are being done. So what is your take on this whole situation, and is there any kind of truth to it?
I mean, everyone knows I absolutely love George, so this is just a bit like a little stab in my heart because I want George to be in the Mercedes. I think he is good enough to be in the Mercedes whenever Valtteri leaves or Lewis leaves. Like 2022, I want George in that Mercedes, whatever. But talking with Elliot, I can see both sides. I don't want George to leave because he's a good driver. He helps the team with the car. Like, he knows what he's talking about. But also, I can see where the money from Perez and the long term with Perez would do the team well. So, and I also don't want George to be banking on getting that Mercedes seat and then someone comes in and takes it and then he's stuck at Williams and there's nowhere else for him to go. But also don't want him to do an Ocon and take a year out and then come back in. So I don't know. I think this weekend shows that he deserves a seat in F1 full stop. Like, he did well in quali. He was up in P7. I know he hadn't pitted, but he was up in P7 in the race, and that was on merit. That wasn't on luck. Like, he actually they did well on merit this week. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want him to lose his seat at all, but I can see both sides of good and bad.
Yeah, I can see where Williams would go for the money, but at the same time, we're entering a period of Formula 1 where there's going to be a cost cap now. And, I said this out on Twitter earlier in the week, but if you are in a situation, if we're going into a cost cap and a team like Williams are having to sign 2 pay drivers to keep themselves up and running, despite being just bought out by new owners, it's not a good look for Formula 1. And it really does kind of make it puts the longevity of that team in doubt, I think.
Yeah,
which, for a team like Williams is really, really sad to see. And, we were worried we could lose them after they kind of reported all of their losses back in May. That's obviously been solved, but I am just worried. I am really worried with what Dorilton Capital will do. I think they're going to lose a lot of support for this as well. I mean, they've just effectively ousted Claire and Frank. We don't know the inner details behind that, but what we do know is that Claire and Frank were looked like they were going to stay on, and then we get to Italy and they're like, well, actually they're not, off you go. And now it looks like George, who is not just a very, very quick driver, he's also well liked. He's like Alex Albon, but he's got pace. So I'm going to piss people off with that one. So it's a real shame. It would be a real shame to lose him from the grid, because we've seen before with Mercedes and their juniors. Look at Furline when he lost out on his Sauber seat. Look at Ocon when he missed out on his Racing Point seat. Yeah, Ocon's come back, but he's not in that Mercedes fold anymore. They will move on. And George is one of those drivers that I feel like really deserves a top car with someone like Merck. And if he loses the seat, I think he does, lose that. He might just lose that Mercedes chance along with it. But
yeah, I literally said when I filmed with Hannah and Elliot earlier, like, I feel so awful for George because he was clearly the better rookie out of the 3 that came up. And Lando went straight into that McLaren. Alex went into the Toro Rosso, then got promoted to Red Bull, and George just got sort of stuck in Williams. And I know he'd be grateful to be in F1 with Williams, but all the selling of the team and now Perez might get his seat. It's like, he is arguably the better driver out of the 3, and he is literally been like sold a dream and it's been taken away from him. That's how I feel, and I feel that's absolutely awful because he would perform so well, and if he got put into that Merc, he would he would be so quick. So it's kind of frustrating, but I suppose we'll just have to see.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's wrap things up then. Obviously, we've got Imola next week. Let's go with some predictions. So if you give me just a quick top 3 for the race and a bold prediction for the whole weekend.
Okay, top 3 for the race. I'm going Lewis, obviously. Lewis, Max, and then I'm going to say Pierre.
Okay.
That's my bold prediction as well. Pierre, P3.
You know what? I'm gonna sort of match you on that bold prediction, because what I was gonna say was that AlphaTauri will have a good weekend. Now,
yeah.
My reasoning for that is they did it. Well, I think Formula One, they banned all testing at the circuit prior to the running of the Grand Prix to avoid an unfair advantage. But before that, AlphaTauri had run a filming day with, I believe, their 2020 car at Imola. So they're going to have some sort of data on it. Even if it is just a driver's feeling of the track, they're going to have an advantage. And I think with the limited practice sessions that we're going to have, obviously it's a 2-day weekend, first time since the Eiffel Grand Prix that we're going to have that. So, and this time at least it's been scheduled. So it could be very, very interesting to see how the teams do without that extra data they have. With it being a new track, the teams really have not got much to go off. So that's going to be very, very interesting. And that same kind of idea will link into my top 3 as well, because I'm going to say Max P3, massive shock, I know. But then I'm going to go Hamilton P2 and Bottas P1. And my reasoning for that is, if you look, in fact, this weekend has been a perfect example for it. Bottas starts the weekend on a high. Or it's either that or Hamilton has to take time to dial in. One of the two of them. And, we saw Bottas was fastest in all 3 practice sessions and the first 2 qualifying sessions. It was only in Q3 that Hamilton really turned the gas up and kind of set the timing screen to light, and that's to continue into the race as well. I feel like with the limited practice that we have, it could be a case of Bottas doing very, very well at the start of the weekend, getting that pole, and then maybe keeping it in front in the race. Because I'm not too sure. Overtaking Imola, I don't think it's the easiest thing. Like I've not driven the track, but I've done it in the sim, and it's not a particularly easy track to overtake on. So I think Bottas. I have a worrying thing. It could be a bit of a dull race, which would be a bit of a shame. But I think Bottas could win it, which I guess could change the status quo a little bit. But hey, that's just my thoughts on it. Then, have you got any other kind of lasting thoughts on this one, Charlotte?
I just think like you said, I don't know what the overtaking's like, but I feel like it's probably kind of like Monaco, as you get pole, you get the win, kind of. That's what I kind of feel like it's going to be like. So I think it will all come down to qualifying on the Saturday. I do hope we see some battling in the midfield and at the top, but I've really liked the last couple of races just with the battles. So hopefully it's not boring. But yeah, I don't really have anything else.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think, we've said this about Mugello, and funnily about today in Portimao, we said that overtaking was going to be difficult, and then we had brilliant races. So you never know. We really just don't know. But we'll wrap things up there. Guys, make sure you go and subscribe, not just to me, but if you haven't already, but also to the Purple Sector. And as I said, all links up will be down in the description of this one. Thank you again, Charlotte, for coming on. Really do appreciate your thoughts and insight. So yeah, like I said, links will be down in the description for that. Let us know down in the comments below what your predictions are for the next Grand Prix in Imola. I can't remember what they're calling it. I've forgotten what they're naming the Grand Prix.
It's a double name. That's all I know.
Oh great. Well, my thumbnail is going to look brilliant then for next weekend. But still, guys, make sure you do like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, hope you have a lovely rest of your weekend, and I will see you all in the next one.